I've just pressed record on episode number 7 of the Bigger Than Running podcast. This is exciting. 7th episode, and this one is going to be quite important. I know on the last one, I talked about the importance of daily trainers, explaining what they are. And in this one, we're continuing that by simply listing out a recommended daily trainer, what exact shoe you should get from each brand, okay? And we will carry this on next time by telling you the max cushion versions of the same. So it's going to be a 3-part series. We're excited. We're really excited. Anyway, this is the warm-up section, so make sure you've laced your daily trainers up really tight. We're about to get on to it. And then I'm going to talk to you about 2 videos that I watched this week. Really cool. One is from Believe in the Run. I don't want to spoil it. And then the second one, Philly Bowden and Daniel released a video that completely moved me. I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then in the sponsored section, I will touch on one of these daily trainers. I won't say which one just yet. I don't want to spoil it. You have to sit and wait until the end. That's what YouTubers do. They create a certain curiosity, making you stick around so you listen to the rest of my blabbing, okay? That's what we're gonna do today. That's gonna be the sponsored section. I won't say what just yet. Okay? So that's the warm-up. Everyone is ready. You've done your dynamic stretches, butt kicks, A skips, B skips, C skips, D, E, F, all the way down to Z skips. Let's get to it. Episode 7, we are on. I'm excited, you know. I've actually done 7 episodes of a podcast. It's actually exciting. I knew this was coming, but seeing the consistency, seeing people engage with it is absolutely exciting. And it's very rewarding because it is quite a lot of work just sitting in this room blabbing to myself and imagining that you are listening. And I don't have to do a lot of imagining because I know you are, you know, so this is really exciting. Anyway, let's recap from what we talked about last time as we get into the topic, daily trainers. What are they? Your daily trainer is the shoe you just put on to go running. Think of it as your iPhone. It just works, okay? You don't need to have this. Oh yeah, and Android users, don't come at me. Man uses the iPhone, okay? Now, the iPhone though, you get the standard version. Okay, I tell you what, let's make this inclusive. I'm all about bringing everyone together, all right? Android users, you can come in too, right? The Samsung. I don't know much, but I'm sure Samsung has a standard, let's say S25. Yeah, I think that's what the model is on right now. I don't know. iPhone, we're on 16, right? An iPhone has a standard version. That just does what it needs to do because that's what it does. Then you go to the 16 Pro. You start getting different sizes. You start getting different features, a better camera added on. Then you get the Pro Max. So basically, the Pro, which is already on steroids, is then given steroids on top of those. So the steroids going in the iPhone 16 Pro are then put on steroids themselves, right? That's how you get the Pro Max. The daily trainer is just your standard version, okay? That is it. Just the shoe you put on and you go for a run. You come back. Some are versatile enough that they can double as speed shoes. They can double as easy run shoes. They can stretch all of that. So as I highlight which shoe from which brand, I'm also going to tell you the pluses and the minuses of that, as well as its versatility, what it really does very well. But you must remember one thing. My name is Aubrey, and I introduce myself as a very average runner. That part is important, the average bit, because what a daily trainer does for me, and when I say actually, you can take this on race day, it means I'm not really doing paces when I'm at my best. Absolutely, don't play with me. I'm a speed demon when I'm at my best, right? Therefore, a carbon plated shoe, a lightweight race day performance tuned shoe would be the shoe of choice. However, I'm not at that pace right now. You see, I've been running a lot of marathons, and that's more endurance, staying for the course. You're on your feet for like 4.5 hours, not speeding. I'm not racing a marathon. Believe it. right? So when I say that some of these daily trainers can be used on race day, I mean for my kind of running. Okay, right now, a 5K for me would be a push if I gave it 5-minute per K pace. It's just not there, I've packed on a few kilos too, So in addition to losing the speed, the little speed that I had, packed on a few kilos. It happens. Anyway, so bear that in mind, the kind of paces I do. I'm going to try and speak for each daily trainer. This episode is going to be particularly long. So for each daily trainer, I will tell you what I love about it, the minuses, how versatile it is, and how far stretch can it be taken. Can you use it for an easy run? Or maybe no, you can't. You need to stick to just your daily mid, or you can even take it to race day. So let's start. These are not going to be in any particular order. I was going to give you a nice alphabetical, but that requires thinking. And you know what? No. I've done a full day's work. I don't need to do additional thinking. So whichever one I pick up, just go with it, okay? So we're going to start with this one. This is On Running's Cloud Surfer. Now, let me just explain a little bit between the shoes that are in the On Running lineup, okay? So they have different ones. On Running is coming from a place where I thought a lot of their foams were super firm, okay? I didn't enjoy any of them. I just enjoyed how they look. Simple. I loved how they look. The aesthetic was great. It was more lifestyle. And they've actually gone zeroed in and focused on a lifestyle space, attacking the fashion scene very, very well and doing a great job, bringing people like Zendaya and all these kind of people into it to kind of make a better use of that running culture, twisting it into a fashion lane. I appreciate them for that. Anyway, you will recognize On by their foam. They have these holes which people call clouds. So each shoe is called Cloud something. This is the Cloud Surfer. You will recognize the Cloud Surfer by the usual On Running clouds, but what they did, they kind of slanted the clouds a little bit, allowing each of these holes to collapse independently. And it's quite a good feeling. The Cloud Surfer for me, the upper brings in a certain comfort. So when I say two things, when I say comfort, I'm talking about the upper. When I say cushioning, I'm talking about the midsole, okay? And the other thing that's quite annoying about On Running shoes, this trench in the middle here, at least in the Cloud Surfer, has been closed up quite a bit. But before, you would go for a run and come back with all of your neighborhood stones in there. And that was very annoying. It changes the run. You start to feel you have to stop, then start taking stones out. They've removed that here. The Cloud Surfer 2, for me, is my number one recommendation. If you want to stick with the On brand, this is the number one recommendation, Cloud Surfer. Use cases, absolutely. It can do an easy run very well. It can do sort of tempo, threshold, depending on what kind of running you do. For me, it does it very well. The downside of this shoe, and it's just general with On Running, the price, okay? When you look at the different lineup of shoes on here, some of them will be absolutely because they're packed with tech, absolutely because the materials used, but some of it you're paying because of the brand attached to that shoe. And On Running has always been that. I'm a big On Running fanboy, but one of the things you're gonna hear from people talking about On Running is the price of their shoes. And that's gonna be one of the downsides, okay? Well, one shoe down. Very good. What do we have next, Aubrey? I think we'll go with this one, randomly picked. Right, for those of you guys just listening, I've picked up Topo's Atomos. Now, I'm gonna be outright honest with you. This is the only Topo shoe I've ever worn. I've never worn anything else apart from the Atomos. Key thing here, there is a cushion. Actually, let's start with a bigger issue. Now, the bigger topic. The underdog brands. There are some brands most people wouldn't know about unless you're really into running. Topo is one of those. Anyway, I've interacted with them. They sent me this pair of shoes to review, and I've started doing some running in it. I've done a long run. I've done an easy run, and I think I want to say I'm at that 20K mark in this shoe. I still want to do a few more. I want to test how well it does in terms of the faster paces, my faster paces, to give you guys a well-rounded first impressions of this shoe. But what I have to tell you is, in terms of the daily trainer, it does the easy runs very well. It does the threshold for my kind of pace very well. I'm being asked to do anywhere between 5:30 to 5 minute per K pace. It does that very well. It also is highly breathable, and one of the selling points of the Thiomas is that foot shape. If you look at it, you can see it sort of it imitates the shape of your foot at the toe box. And that's going to be very, very key for anyone that is, especially if you struggle with narrow shoes, they've got that consideration. The insole in here, I don't normally comment on insoles, but there is something intentional and specific about the insole that they have used in the Thiomas. So a big shout out to Topo for that. I did mention that I will try to then also talk about one minus. The minus, I think, everything I've said about this being a plus can also be flipped and go, actually, it is particularly wide. If you look at that, in terms of the width of the forefoot, it does feel quite heavy on your foot. It does feel like you're carrying a lot of shoe, which is why it's okay if you're easy pacing. Even just turn it up just a notch. This is not going to be a shoe you're going to try and do your faster work in or anything like that. But one of the biggest highlights of this shoe is the comfort it gives you at the front. Okay. A lot of shoes will have a lot of padding at the heel, the midsole at the back, but this is consistent, and the cushioning you will get from Topo's Thiomas at the forefoot is one thing that makes it a very good, recommendable daily trainer. Right? We are 2 down. Boom, boom, boom. Let's now go to a big brand. Let's start talking Nike. For Nike, for the longest time, my number one recommendation would have been Nike's Invincible 3, and it still is. But it's been out for a while, and I want to stay current in terms of my recommendations. And that recommendation is the Vomero 18. When we had the Vomero 17, it was, I don't know, it didn't really do anything for me. Great running shoe, people loved it, just not for me. The Vomero 18 just ticks that box for comfort. And when you actually do pick up the pace, it has a way of actually going with you. It's got 2 foams making up this midsole. What is the closest to your foot at the top is your Zoom X. Zoom X is Nike's premium foam. Very, very comfortable in terms of the cushioning. Right? And then at the bottom of it, you got React X, which is a bit more of a responsive foam. It's much more responsive than Zoom X, but also sustainable in terms of being environmentally friendly. It's very, very important that is. And I always highlighted this. I highlighted this because I attended the launch event when I found out that what they actually labeled as Zoom X here on the midsole is not actual Zoom X foam. They just wanted to brand it to show you its hero features. The upper, same with the uniform, the comfort, the padding in this, you get to love it. One thing I do love is, much more than the 2 shoes I've highlighted, is how you feel wearing this when not running. That's the versatility of this shoe, that you can actually just go about your business. I do think we could have done with much more cushion in the forefoot. It doesn't feel as comfortable as it does on the back. And you can see that from the profile of the Vomero 18. In terms of price, actually it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. The Vomero 18 to me is symbolic of Nike saying, actually, let's turn things up a notch. Let's wake up and reestablish our position as the giant within this running space. So, I mean, it goes without saying that Nike fell off. I'll be the first to tell you that. Whilst they're race day shoes, you can't mess with them. You got the Alpha Fly, Vapor Fly, Streak Fly, What Fly, Arm Fly, everything fly, right? But the daily trainers, all the other brands just stepped up and took over. And that's one thing we can't ignore about all of this. But Nike is sort of coming back and rejigging how they will lay out their running shoes, from the Structure, the Vomero, it's just, and the Pegasus, sorry. It's just now starting to be clear as to what they're trying to do. Anyway, Nike recommendation, daily trainer has to be the Vomero 18. I still love the Nike Invincible 3. So if you can get the Nike Invincible 3 now and you can find it at a good discount, you can't go wrong. Okay? Let's move on. Shoe number 4, Aubrey. Let's go with an underdog. The next one is Hilo Athletics. That's the brand, and their shoe is called Impact. They've got this strap line that says, "Run like the world depends on it," which I really like. But it almost has a connotation of an urgency that you really need to get out there running. The world depends on it. That's not the sentiment they're saying. I like the heart of the branding. So check it out. Now, admittedly, this is not a brand most people know. It's a very new brand. I think it's an ex-footballer that then set it up, that reached out to me. And granted, I haven't done enough work to kind of bring a bit more of an eye on this brand. The shoe is called Impact, and I love this midsole. In a review, I will talk about the specifics. What I wanted to talk about is, it is quite reminiscent of the Nike Invincible 3 when you look at it from the top. It looks exactly like it. I don't think it's as cushy as a Zoom X. I mean, Zoom X is Zoom X, but it's very close. There is a comfort in this foam that they use. It's called Hyperbolt. The comfort in it is close to Zoom X. It's close. Again, I would love to see a lot of daily trainer manufacturers give much more consideration to the forefoot. So maybe that's the only downside of this particular shoe, the Hilo Impact, is that the cushioning in terms of the forefoot, for me as a bigger person, obviously you can feel it. Now, here is why I say it. If you go on Instagram or on YouTube and people are demonstrating the comfort or the cushioning of a midsole, they'll normally squish the back of the shoe, and it squishes really nice. But you know what? When you're toeing off, you're not using that. I get it to some heel strikers. I'm talking about when you're toeing off and you're looking at that. Some people are forefoot strikers, and therefore all that selling point in terms of the cushioning at the heel of the shoe, it's not really that beneficial for runners like that. So I would have loved to see much more consideration in the forefoot of the midsole of Hilo Athletics Impact. Check it out. I think it's important that we also give the smaller brands a good consideration, because for a first attempt, for a first shoe for a brand, the Impact Hilo Athletics, well done. Hey, we're making progress. Next one is New Balance. In the New Balance lineup, the daily trainer I want to recommend. Now, a lot of people have different opinions. They will tell you about the Rebel. They will tell you about the More V4. They will tell you about the 7 whatever, 880. Well, for me, your starting point, you can adjust from here, is the 1080. The 1080 for me is the most versatile, is the most comfortable, and it can work at a faster pace too. When I talk daily trainers, in my head, I've programmed myself to think 1080. That has slowly changed to 2 shoes, which I will talk to you about in a little bit. But when I talk daily trainers, this is a starting point, essentially for 2 reasons. They make a foam called Fresh Foam X. Now, New Balance, if they were making mattresses, I'm telling you now, this foam here would be the best seller, because the foam feels exquisite, comfortable, and a cushioning. What I then discovered when I was reviewing this shoe, what I try to do in my reviews, The runs I've got for that week normally would be a long run, would be an easy run, and something to test my pace. So it'd be an interval workout, a threshold run, that kind of thing. And it performs very well, especially for a new runner where you're not too sure you want to invest all of your money, time, and energy into running. This is that shoe that's going to take you everywhere you need to go, including your race day. Okay? New Balance, absolutely one of the favorites. Back to underdog territory, I want to talk to you about Innovate. This is the same shoe that I'm holding. It's called the Road Fly. Now, Innovate, they largely focus on trail. Anything to get you in your Indiana Jones mode out in the woods, the trails, accessories, things like hydration vests, backpacks, all that kind of stuff that gets you out there in the wild. Innovate is the brand, okay? You could look at this and there are competitors, obviously, that do the same thing, maybe arguably do it better. I don't know. It just depends on preference. So when they reached out to me about doing a road shoe, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll check it out. What I like about this shoe is it's a very good lifestyle shoe. It's a very good gym shoe for me. When I'm doing deadlifts, squats, I want ground contact. That's what this is. In terms of running, because of how I'm built, because of personal preferences, I do prefer having my shoes max cushion or at least cushioned. Don't necessarily have to be max cushioned, but at least cushioned. And this is not that. So the Road Fly, in line with Innovate, because they're out in the trails, they like to give you ground feel. Now, I say this because I recognize not everyone will want to run with a feeling, a sensation of cushioning. So if you want to look at something that is close to the ground, quite propulsive, and you can control your paces a bit more as opposed to feeling like you're running on sand, the Road Fly from Innovate is definitely one you should check out. I do also like how wide they are in terms of that foot shape in the toe box. It's really, really good. 361. 361. 361 degrees, whatever you want to call it. They have a shoe called the Ventus. Now this shoe here, underrated. This feels like your gel Nimbuses. It does feel like your Vimeros. I'm telling you now, the only reason that people would look at it differently is because they won't recognize the brand. If you do know the brand, or if you were blindfolded and you put this on, I promise you, it is a shoe that you will I don't even want to fault it. I'm not going to say anything negative because I'll be honest with you, I didn't necessarily see anything wrong with the shoe at all. The only thing, if I was nitpicking, which I think is a strength, some people might find, especially if you're running in the hot areas, that it will run warm. It's got very good breathability on the upper, but in terms of the padding with the tongue, the heel, and all of that material in there, some people would say actually they find it to be warm. However, I like that. It's in line with what a daily trainer should be. The midsole is good. All of it just feels great. It does. 361, 361 degrees Ventus. That's another one of my recommendations. Okay? We're still going. Let's still stick with underdog territory. Now, this is Ultra. Ultra's Torin. This is the 8th version. The first running shoe I ever bought, as in a shoe that is specifically for running, was an Ultra shoe. Torin 4.5. I don't know what the 0.5 was, but that's the shoe that I bought. And I still have it till this day somewhere in here. Actually, tell you what, I want to show it to you. There you go. That is the first pair of running shoes I ever bought. And now this is on 8. So 4.5 version 8. Why do I like Ultra shoes? I tell you, and I'm just going to keep it real with you. Number one, I like the tech rep that represents them here in the UK. He's a guy called Richard. And honestly, one of the loveliest, well, knowledgeable, approachable, and just an expert at what he does. They supported my channel from a very, very young stage when I had like 300 subscribers on my channel. And they were like, yeah, go on, we'll support you, tell us what you need and all this kind of stuff. And from that, there's an affinity, a relationship between me and Richard. Anyway, the shoe itself. Why is the Torin important for a daily trainer? It is the only shoe out of all these shoes we're going to talk about that has a 0 drop. Aubrey, what does that mean? It means the height of this midsole is the same at the front as it is at the back. So whatever cushioning you're getting back here, you're getting at the front over there. I like that. Second, it's got this anatomical foot shape. If I show you, you will see it does imitate the shape of your foot. For those of you guys listening on the audio, you will see the shape of it. It's narrow at the back and it widens out at the front to kind of take into consideration your foot shape. Other thing that it imitates, if you look at the outsole, the bones in your foot is exactly what this does. So not only does it flex when you bend it this way, it also flexes when you twist it. That is actually really good. I used to think it's quite gimmicky, but when you try out the shoe, you will get what I mean. Downside, I'm going to be outright honest with you, and I think they're doing it now. Ultra is just catching up on the look of their shoes. The looks of their shoes are not always eye-catching. They're now sort of venturing out in the colorways, the design, the aesthetics. It's the one thing I felt like they were stuck in an era for a time, but they're breaking out now, being much more experimental with the colorways. Anyway, my recommendation for a daily trainer, if you're looking for something 0 drop from the Ultra brand, I have to say it's the Torin series. Well, moving on. Let's carry on. All right, this is still a Torin. Let's move that out of the way. I feel like we're now sort of, the big hitters. Don't get me wrong, Nikes, definitely. We've done a few big hitters already. The ones I'm left here are some of my strongest recommendations. So I'm going to go with, let's start here, Hoka. Now, Hoka has several that I could have recommended. One of my favorite ones is the Mark 6. Now, that to me is not necessarily your first pair of running shoes or a new runner's daily trainer. It packs a kick. Very minimalistic in terms of the kick, but it packs a kick. What would I recommend that's very versatile? The Clifton. There is a line of shoes within the Hoka brand called the Clifton. Now this one is the 10. This is comfort defined in terms of the padding. I've done a long run, 16K long run. I did it with the boys, so 16K done. I've got a few more sessions to do before I give you my honest thoughts in terms of how it performs for a pacier run, for an easy run. I've got confidence it's gonna do the easy run, but what does it do in terms of the faster work? So the Clifton 10 from Hoka, what makes it such? They've updated the midsole, and the midsole, just how it feels in terms of how plush it is when you're running, it feels great. I do like the upper. It's moved on from what it was before. They've made it into what they're calling a jacquard mesh. I don't care for names, as you probably will notice. I don't want to talk specs. I don't want to give you numbers. I don't want to talk anything that's jargony. I just want to tell you, if you go into the running shop and you go, this is the brand I like, what is the daily trainer within that brand that you want to get? Boom. If it's Hoka, it's the Clifton 10. Let's not discuss it. Done. All right. Oh, what we got next? Well, Adidas. Now here, oh my gosh. This is probably going to be the most talked about shoe in all of running history, okay? The Adidas Evo SL. Now, I was privileged enough to be one of the first people to be gifted and therefore using this shoe. I attended Berlin Marathon when I went to do the Berlin Marathon in Germany, which was my first marathon. We went there with Believe in a Run and Adidas. Anyway, we were gifted the Adidas Evo SL. I ran in it and I knew there was something special about the shoe. Now, the problem with me is I'm easily excitable. I just go and I yap and I yap and I yap. People thought, oh, here he goes. He's been taken over to Germany by Adidas and he's just yapping. No. You now know the hype Now, here's where the downside of this shoe is not actually about the shoe. The downside is there were very limited drops of the shoe, and the people that had the shoe were busy giving it the big one and praising the shoe, whilst the general public couldn't get it. So I think that's the downside of it. There is a genius in that kind of marketing, but I think there's also a potential to kind of, I don't think it did Adidas any good, the limited drops, because people were hearing how good it is, but just couldn't get it, Otherwise, though, if you're looking for one shoe to do everything that you're going to be doing as a new runner, I can't tell you any other shoe from the Adidas brand. There are others that work, but I can't recommend a shoe better than this at this price point. Now, I haven't said the prices of the other shoes, so I therefore won't say it's 130. I'm not gonna lie. And there's another one too I want to talk to you about in terms of the price that make it just special. Okay, it's just an amazing shoe. The foam that it has in here is used in a premium racing shoe that Adidas had. The look of it, it's just an exceptional shoe. It's called the Adidas Evo SL. Okay, if you're just looking for what shoe should I get, Aubrey, this is the one. Don't go looking at the other ones. If you want to stick with the Adidas brand, don't look at the Boston 13. Don't let anyone tell you about the Adios 9. No. Adidas Evo SL, done. Okay, we're still going. Don't worry. We're still going. Asics. Now this one is tricky. From the Asics brand, I talk about the Nova Blast 5 as the daily trainer that you should look into. But I changed my mind. In my opinion, the Nimbus line is the shoe I would say you should get. Now, the reason is simple. The Nova Blast 5, absolutely versatile. It will do all sorts of paces, but it doesn't do cushioning like the Nimbus shoe. It doesn't do easier recovery paces like the Nimbus shoe. So I'm out here preaching, hey, you need to do your 80% of your runs easy and 20%. I'm an advocate for something like that. That's this shoe. If you're gonna have one shoe as a new runner, just keeping it real with you. Now, Asics, they make some bangers. They do a shoe called the Super Blast that everyone hypes on about. I didn't really get on with it that much. Their race day shoe, oof, right? The Nova Blast that I'm talking about, the Cumulus. But to me, the Gel Nimbus line is the one you should look at within the Asics brand. It's as simple as that. Why? They have a foam that is very, very comfortable. It's very well cushioned. They also have gel. Now, in the earlier versions of the Nimbus line, the gel that they would put in the midsole to add to that comfort was visible. It's like Father Christmas, okay? I've never really seen him, but just know he's there. He's there, he's there. Come 25th of December, you look down the chimney, you look under your Christmas tree, whatever it is, you're going to see presents because Father Christmas is there. That's that gel. I can't see it. I can't really say, but I know it's there. All right, let's move on before we start talking too much about Father Christmas. All right, next up, boom. Now, let me say this. This is the only brand I'm going to break the rule for. I should be telling you about the Velocity. Puma Velocity. I should be telling you about the Magnify. I should be. But let's just keep it real. If you're gonna get one pair of shoes from the Puma brand to use as a daily trainer, I wouldn't be me if I didn't make that the Mag Max. The Mag Max is that shoe for me. This shoe is legit for easier paces, slower paces. The great thing about this is I use this on one of my very long runs when I was getting ready for my first ever marathon. And I tell you, it can go the half marathon distance really, really well. I've never pushed it all the way to a marathon. After all, I've only done 5 marathons, but out of all the shoes I've listed here, if there is one shoe that's gonna go to that distance, for me, would be this shoe, simply because of that cushioning. Bang, bang. Puma Mag Max. Why? What are the key selling points? This midsole is basically just comfort on steroids. It just works. The cushioning is great, but when you're taking it up a notch in terms of pace, it responds very well. The outsole is Puma grip. Now, out of all of these shoes that I've told you about, the best outsole in all of these shoes is this one here. This thing is built like a tank, it's grippy, and it's very resilient. This thing, it's not going anywhere, right? All sorts of weather, all sorts of terrain, this is that guy. Well, I say all sorts of terrain. I don't mean like a trail terrain. But out of all these shoes, if I was to take one in the trails, actually, no. Let me know. No. Let me not go that far. Find yourself a trail shoe. Another episode, another day. Okay. But out of the shoes that I've listed here, this is definitely the best outsole. All right. Mizuno. Bang. Now, I'm just going to be outright honest. Mizuno is a very big brand in my head, right? In my head. When you think of running shoes as general public, general population, you don't standardly go to Mizuno. You think Nike, you think Adidas, you think Reebok even, you think, you don't go Mizuno. But let me tell you this right now. A lot of people might think it's because I'm doing a lot of work with Mizuno. I've gone on trips with Mizuno. I recently went to France. I recently did Osaka Marathon with Mizuno. They send me their shoes to review. So you might think I'm biased. But I'll be honest with you, all of these shoes that I've talked to you about, I've got a very good relationship with all of them. Simply because I'm a good guy, I'm respectful, and I'm grateful for what they do for my channel. That's as simple as it. They don't support me because I'm a whizzy runner. Nah. Okay? So just know that. One of the best daily trainers ever, period. Mizuno's Neo Zen. Period. Neo Zen. It's got one fault, and I have to just be outright honest with you. It's an annoying fault. It's got a problem I really hate, and that is the sizing. I wear a 9.5 UK. A 9.5 UK is way too big. I actually could make an 8.5 work, but a 9 fits perfectly. Some people have had to go a full size down, half size down. But one thing we know for sure is it runs long. Now, normally that's not a big issue, but the Neo Zen is a one-piece booty style kind of shoe where you put it on like a boot. So it doesn't have a separate medial lateral side, a tongue in the middle. It's all one piece. Because of that, the sizing then becomes extra important. And that to me, if Mizuno can just nail that, and we can't blame it on the fact that it's a one-piece upper, because I tell you what, the first Neo Vista worked very well, and it's the same. Adidas Prime X Strung is like that, but it works. So I think it's something Mizuno need to look at. But in terms of daily trainers, the one I could recommend, one from the Mizuno brand, is this. All right, let's talk Brooks. Now, Brooks, they make a line called Ghost, right? So you have the Ghost 16. It's now on 17. They've sent it out to me. I'm going to go running in it. I didn't like the 16. Simply because I found it to be too minimalistic in terms of the padding here. What I do like, and what I'm going to tell you, before I talked about the Glycerin Max, but I don't think we need to go that far just yet. I would definitely recommend or suggest you look at the Glycerin 22. The Glycerin 22 carries the same kind of spirit and mechanics of the Glycerin Max, just a bit more minimalistic for your daily trainer. What this does, it combines two types of densities in the foam to give you the best of two worlds. One, the comfort side, and two, the speedy side. So when we talk about versatility, for me, for Brooks, absolutely, the Glycerin 22. Okay. Aubrey, thank you for all of that. We really appreciate your help. Can you get to it? Which one? If this video was talking about two shoes, these will probably be the two shoes I would recommend. Adidas Evo SL has been exceptional, and the Mizuno Neo Zen. Those would be my recommendations. Let's now talk about the 2 YouTube videos I've watched this week. And I know I'm supposed to do 4, but I last did the video on Sunday. I haven't watched that many. That's stuck in my head between now and Sunday. Okay, so cut me some slack. Okay, I'm gonna start with Thomas going to Spotify. Now, when you watch this video, I wanna say it's about 5 minutes, 5:20. It's not that long. Okay, it's definitely less than 6 minutes. So you definitely need to check it out. It's on the Believe in a Run channel where Thomas went to Spotify. So he's gone there to film a podcast, and I think that podcast will then come out at some point. But Thomas went to Spotify. Why is that a big deal? If you're a Christian, right, you dream about heaven. It's like a Christian just getting a day visit to go to heaven, chill, spend some time, and then come back, okay? If you're a football player, and I mean soccer, okay, getting a time to go to Wembley, play a little game and come back, you know, or if you're a Manchester United fan, go into Old Trafford to play a game and then come back. That's what it's like. When you do this podcasting thing, especially when you're me, I'm very driven to pushing this podcasting thing to a place where I want to see how far it'll go. I'm going to do the very best that I can to see how far I can take this podcasting thing. And so seeing someone I look up to, someone like Thomas from Believe in a Run, going to Spotify, changed something in me. It fired me up. Because he's the guy I look up to when it comes to running, when it comes to the shoe reviews, the YouTube channel. I just love this guy, genuinely. He's very inspirational, and in some ways, though not officially, he mentors me, okay? So seeing him going to Spotify to record a podcast just said, you know what? There is so much that is so possible within your reach, Aubrey, if you just keep it going. And it kind of did that for me. Now, why is that important to highlight to you? What is it that you feel you're dreaming towards that you just need to put your head down and get to work? What have you seen other people do? So for example, within this YouTube space, me seeing Ben Felton-Ben is running, Joanna doing his thing, Kofuzi traveling the world, it inspires me to go, actually, you know what? I don't feel like doing a video today. I don't feel like doing a podcast, because you know what? When I'm doing this podcast, my whole house has gone to sleep. That's when I can do this podcast. That's when I've got time to just empty my mind and just give you guys the video I plan to do. Because I wake up in the morning, I have to help get kids ready for school because I'm getting ready for work myself. I then go to work. When I come back, it's being around, being available. And then dinner. And then we've got this deal, if one person cooks, the other person clears up. Oh, and then it's bedtimes. It then becomes a question of, can I really do this? Because I run. I enjoy running. So on top of doing that running, I film my running. I make videos about running. I then film running shoe reviews. And finding time to make all of that work can be very tough. But when you see the people you look up to living out their dreams, it's a reminder that you just have to keep going without compromising the quality, without compromising yourself. Take time and rest should you need it, but keep fighting for your dream. No one's gonna do it for you, you know? Anyway, video number 2, Philly Bowden and Daniel. So Philly Bowden, you guys will know Philly Bowden. She's amazing. I've grown a very soft spot for females within the YouTube space, especially after becoming a girl dad. I've noticed the big gap that we have. We have a massive gap and the females are underrepresented. So Philly Bowden means a little more to me than just a YouTuber. Anyway, Hackney Half Marathon, I got to run with her fiance, Daniel. They released the video of that talking about Daniel's running journey, but Daniel then narrates it, and they showed the part that featured me. Now look, it's easy, so easy, and I mean as easy as this, for me to make videos. It's so easy for me to do Instagram content. But when you see yourself on someone like Philly Bowden's video, and they're speaking positively about you, I can't really describe it to you, but there is a confidence that it encourages. There is a self-worth acknowledgement, because I've watched Philly Bowden's channel for so long. And I reached out to Daniel because I appreciate the craftsmanship, the work he does for that channel. The visuals you see, the editing, the storytelling, is this man working very hard. And I've expressed that. I reached out to him and I said, brother, when you're running Hackney, it'd be great to run with you, because then I can meet you for the first time. He said yes, and we ran together. We shared the footage. I shared it with him. They used the footage I filmed of him, and he was very appreciative of that too. That's another thing. Now look, man, it's one thing just acknowledging it. It's another thing being grateful that I've actually contributed to your video. It meant a lot to me, and he called me a good hype man and all this kind of stuff, and it just moved so many things, and it restored quite a lot of faith in this running YouTube space for me. So Philly, Daniel, thank you very much. Guys, if you do have time, please check that video out. Unsponsored section, and this is me faking it till I make it, okay? One day, my podcast will be sponsored, and therefore the sponsored section will talk about whoever's gonna sponsor my podcast. It has to be someone I align with from a values, their products kind of perspective, but until then, I'm gonna act like I am. So this section here is brought to you by Altra. Now, I'm using this section of my podcast to highlight or at least bring more awareness to brands that are not widely known. And today, I want to talk to you about Altra brand. Now, like I mentioned, I'm a sucker for these guys because they supported me and acknowledged me at the very start. I had like 300 subscribers when Rich kind of said, okay, fine, let's work together, and they sent me some shoes to review. Now, Altra is known largely within that trail running space, but more importantly, for zero drop running shoes. 2, for anatomical kind of shapes. 3, that also follows within the outsoles of the shoes. They kind of have these structures that are like bones in your foot. So those are the common things that Altra is known for. There are 2 shoes that Altra doesn't mess around on. One is called the Lone Peak. Now, the Lone Peak, this is the 9th version of that shoe. As you can see, it's pristine. Now, the reason why it's pristine, I wear the Lone Peak shoes when I'm out and about on family walks. I still have the Lone Peak 8 and the Lone Peak 7, which is widely used. However, you will have seen, you will see from the video that will come out. This will come out on a Wednesday. On the Thursday, you're gonna see the video that I did on the trail run. So I'm trying to do a lot more of my easy runs, long runs out in the trails, because it's a side of running I haven't explored. Altra has a good hold within the Lone Peak series of good trail running shoes. There's that collaboration with Vibram on the outsole. Now these bad boys, they got claws, all right, for these lugs and the grip. That's why I trust these shoes for these family walks. In terms of the road shoe, for me, the shoe that you definitely need to check out if you want to is the Torin line, which is what we talked about before. Zero drop, and it just does daily training very well. If you don't like the zero drop and you prefer your shoes to be offset a little bit, they've got this forward experience, and it's a 4mm drop from the heel to the front. You can check that out, okay? I hope that covers everything we needed. I hope that was a good listen for you. And hopefully, actually a good friend of mine, his name is Chris, who I do my long runs with. He gave me some feedback. He said, Aubrey, I like the podcast, but it's too short. I'll put it on my run, and I keep running your podcast finished. So hopefully we're starting to find our place in terms of duration. But apart from that, I just want to say thank you for taking time to listen to this podcast, but also giving me a chance and welcoming me into this space. I'll see you in a bit.